Hi guys, welcome back to AP Environmental Science. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the impact of different agricultural practices. All right, and this one's going to be super short, so let's just get right into it. So we're going to be talking about, again, different ways that we harvest our produce, not just in America, but globally as well. So monocropping, mono meaning one, cropping, farming, planting, harvesting, etc. So, monocropping is growing one single species of a crop in an area. So, you have a plot of land and you're only growing one single individual species, one species of corn, wheat, soy, tomatoes, potatoes, whatever it may be. If it is one species, it's monocropping. It's highly efficient for harvest, pesticide, and fertilizer application. Remember, reds are negatives. So a downside to monocropping is that it greatly decreases biodiversity. We are more prone to pests and fewer natural predators as well. It increases soil erosion because all the crops are harvested at once and the soil is left bare. And remember that roots and root systems prevent soil erosion. It gives the soil something to anchor onto. And again, it decreases habitat diversity for species living in that area. If we only have one single kind of crop, and you are a specialist species that cannot survive now in this area that's only planted with corn, that species is going to die out. Again, I cannot reiterate this enough. The number one driver of species extinction is habitat loss. Okay, it is habitat loss. All species have that ecological tolerance. They have a range of conditions that they can survive in. And when you then destroy an organism's a species habitat and you are removing their ecological niche, you are widening their ecological tolerance, they're not going to survive. So because we're only planting one crop, we're decreasing habitat diversity. Okay, tilling. So tilling is mixing and breaking up soil to make planting easier. It loosens the soil for the roots to grow. Okay. It increases soil erosion by loosening up the topsoil, which, we don't want because the looser your topsoil is, the more likely it is to erode away with wind, rain, etc. And it breaks up leftover root structures that were already there. So whatever root systems that were left over from previous crops, they're now being removed as the soil is being broken up, again, increasing erosion. The loss of organic matter and topsoil and nutrients is going to occur over time as we mix and break up the soil. Increase in particulate matter, PM, particulate matter. That's any sort of respiratory irritant, okay? And sediments in nearby water, which causes turbidity, which is the cloudiness of the water, okay? So here we have a no-till ecosystem, and we can see all of these really wonderful deep root systems. We have these worm burrows where our decomposers can live and, break down dead and decaying plant matter and return it back into the soil. All of that is here in our no-till ecosystem, okay? But in a tilled ecosystem, it looks very different. We don't have these deep root systems because they're being removed. We don't have these worm burrows, so we have no decomposers. And, if we do have decomposers, they are not thriving and surviving as well as the ones over here. So because we don't have as many decomposers, we're not returning those nutrients back into the soil. Okay, slash and burn, it's exactly what it sounds like. This is very similar to the controlled burns in the sustainable forestry topic. So slash and burn is exactly what it sounds like. It's cutting down vegetation and burning it to clear land for agriculture and returning nutrients and plants to soil. And, the second part sounds great, But this is a method of deforestation. We are directly cutting down and burning all sorts of vegetation, plants, trees, shrubs, bushes, you name it. We're cutting it down and we're burning it. You are destroying habitats. Of course, that is going to lead to lower biodiversity. We are decreasing our CO2 sequestration. That's, remember, the storage of CO2. And also, plants and trees do filter pollution. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Wait. Am I going to? No. Okay. I think I'm getting sick. Sorry. Excuse me. Plants do filter things in the air. They act as, filtration for pollutants, which is why we should all be keeping some kind of plants in our house, especially, we live, or you guys live in New Brunswick. It is a highly polluted area with all those buildings and cars and pollution. So plants do filter pollution. We're going to learn a lot about this in not the next unit, but actually 2 more units from now. Okay, sorry. When we are burning down these vegetation, these trees, these bushes, it's going to be releasing greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide, all of that stuff into the atmosphere, which we should know by now. We learned this in Unit 2, leads to global warming. And because we are burning stuff, it increases particulate matter in the air. Okay, so we need to really get into the zone now where we are not only recognizing these connections, but memorizing these connections and also just kind of thinking about it logically. Okay, again, anytime we are destroying habitat, we are directly decreasing biodiversity. Remember, specialist species are more prone to extinctions because they have a narrower niche, they have a narrower ecological tolerance than generalist species. So if you have an FRQ question discussing the impacts of slash and burn, just think of destroying habitats, loss of biodiversity, loss of species diversity, possible extinction of specialist species. And, now I have to start thinking about the impacts of that as well. And this goes again back to our biodiversity unit of why do we care about biodiversity? I highly recommend you guys look at that list I had you make up for many of your assignments about why should we care about biodiversity, and just pick one to memorize to be able to put as an FRQ response on a test, the AP exam, if that question is there. Okay. And again, anytime we are burning something, it's going to be releasing CO2, greenhouse gas. That's global warming. That's climate change, which then leads to this stuff again. There's a lot of ways we can start putting the pieces together as we go through this course. Okay. This is definitely a human issue. When we're burning stuff, we're increasing particulate matter in the air. That's a respiratory irritant. It causes things like asthma. It can cause lung disease, lung cancer, all sorts of stuff. Okay, so we're halfway through the course now, guys, or at the end of this unit, we will be halfway through the course. It's time to start putting the pieces together to see how all of these units fit together as one cohesive global issue. Okay. I fixed you. Sorry, I didn't even realize. Okay, so here is the difference between a burned down area and, a non-burned area. Okay, synthetic inorganic fertilizers, man-made fertilizers. They do not return organic matter to soil, no increased water holding capacity, and no soil decomposers. Leaching, this is when water carries excess nutrients, nitrates, and phosphates into groundwater or into surface water as runoff. And we should know by now that this contaminates groundwater for drinking and it causes eutrophication. These 2 things you're going to have to memorize, okay? Leaching is when water carries nutrients. It can go into the groundwater. If it goes into the ground, it's contaminating drinking water. If it goes into surface water, which we do sometimes use for drinking, not so much. Our largest source of fresh water for everyday life is groundwater. So if it's going to the groundwater, it's contaminating drinking water. If it's going into surface waters, it's going to be causing eutrophication. Okay. And that is all I have for you guys on Monday. If you are watching this, the weekend of January 7th and 8th. On Monday, we're going to be going over 5.5 and 5.6 together. And then Wednesday, Friday, we are doing our soil salinization lab. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you all when I see you. Bye.